there's a lot to be said, and I know you have a lot to say still, and I have a lot to say as well, around the topic of women. And I feel happy and lucky because you are one of these women who have been working for our awakening, our incorporation, our activity in the world as women. And this is really difficult to find. Most of us become or adopt masculine characteristics, or we're called masculine. And on the one hand, we need to understand a bit more what it is women's power is about without calling us masculine, and at the same time, we need to understand what men are about in their masculine power, so that instead of imitating them, we can complement them and support them, which I think is what this whole movement in its deeper aspect is all about. You speak a lot about empowerment. Mm-hmm. You speak a lot about cooperation. So here we are. My book speaks about an aspect of women. Your book speaks about many aspects of women. I think we could have written each other's words to a great degree, and yet there is something very different, which is your uniqueness and my uniqueness. So let's see if we can piece this together.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. Thank you for asking me to have this conversation with you today. It's a pleasure. I've been reading your book with a tremendous amount of enjoyment and really empathizing with everything you have to say. I think the difference really between the books is very much that you're working with the inner woman, and in a way I'm working with the external, the outer woman, you know, with work issues and being activists in their communities and so on. But if you do, you really can't have one without the other. I mean, it's really the importance is the integration of the inner and the outer woman to create really, or the growth of the inner and the outer woman, the awareness, the consciousness, so that then you have the whole woman. And we have a society of several thousand years, as we know, where the whole woman has really been suppressed. And in fact, in many, many countries still today, 2011, it's absolutely horrific, the situation for women and girls. Horrible. Ways we don't even have any idea about.
Yeah, we were talking the other day about the aspect of, where I said, I can't do what I want to do, what I long to do without you, or someone like you, without the force that you represent. And this question of suppression really is urgent, I think, in our society today, because in order to correct it, we would have to impose some kind of activity from the outside. But at the same time, we need to educate women. We need to call them from the inside. And that has to be understood. This is where my frustration comes in. You know, the what, the walking the talk, the how, what not the how, but the what is needed as a quality.
I mean, the reality, of course, is that we live in a very multicultural world where the situations for some women are very, very different from the situations for others. We are very blessed as women from the West, if you like, and I don't know the details of your life. I certainly think that my life has been very blessed and continues to be. And then I read the stories of women and girls in countries where they have no value. Their women have no value whatsoever. They're used as sex slaves, they're used just to do the domestic work, and they don't even have the opportunities that we have, if you like, to kind of grow the inner woman, because they just have that pressure on a day-to-day basis of staying alive. So I think from what we all have to do, I suppose, is to learn from each other. You said you couldn't do what you were doing without somebody like me. I think it's really about all women working together, and whether it be in the practical sense of working, if we can, with programs for an awareness for these women and girls who really are living lives which is just unbelievable in this day and age, to women of the West who who have the privileges of a roof over their head and food in their mouths, but still need to grow into their fullness of being. It's an interesting dichotomy, because the reality is there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of women in this world who do not live a life of freedom. And we can't ignore that. At the same time, we need to create the inner woman with those of us who can perhaps, if we go to that space of healing, then reach out to our sisters. So for me, it's very much kind of living between those worlds, and also the world of business, which is where I spend a lot of my life.
Why is this happening? Why? What allows this to continue?
Why is it happening? Because we are living, as I say, in a world of greed, of corruption, and a world where there are no global there is no global power to stop it. I don't understand how we're doing it ourselves. I don't understand it, but it has to stop. And for me, the way to stop it is very simple. It's economic empowerment. So this is when I talk about the outer self, and I believe that if women collectively can come together and help each other at grassroots to have some kind of income that feeds them and their children and educates them, puts a roof over their head, that is how we stop it. That's where I put a lot of my energy. But having said that, the work of the inner woman, that's what I need. And I think that there are many, many, many women out there also who are not in those situations, but who need the understanding of their inner strength, which is what you have written about so beautifully. And I certainly can get very diffused and exhausted, because if I don't remember to restore myself, what can I ever do to help anybody else? So
yeah, I know.
That's the.
This is what took me to. This is the whole purpose, I think, of all my work, is to understand the dynamics that come from within, from a being state rather than doing. I mean, we've spoken so much about doing, how things need to change, how they can be better, but the energy that makes that possible is not one of fixing the superficial aspects. It comes from much, much deeper, which is that I go back to the emotional. I don't mean to say that the emotional manipulation is the same. I just wanted to return to that, as the savagery that is happening in other parts of the world. But it is enough to condition our society into a retaliation, a tit for tat. And this is where we need to stop. We need to realize what our power is, because our power is not emotional, but this is how we use it. Okay, our power comes from a deeper space,